Hey y'all, Sunshine 1979 here. I do want to replay one of my own videos. I've never done this before, I don't think. I did this video back March the 7th, 2022. You guys can see here on the screen. The missing 5-year-old with links to Tennessee from Florida. This little girl's name is Haleigh Cummings. This is her poster. What's this, guys? This is her poster. And I'm going to tell you Haleigh's story because it seems like on the YouTube streets she's recirculating. So I want to make sure that her case gets brought to you guys with the information that I was able to bring back in March. This case has some twists and turns in it. Seems like something that we're getting used to seeing in Tennessee. Guys, I'm gonna head over.
Bring it back.
This is her original missing poster. This is what they would say she would look like as of 2009. Okay, so I'm going to pause these in between. Okay, the story of Haleigh Cummings. I've included several different news clips and reports in this video. Please take all points and people of interest and aspects of this case and share this case. A child should never be cold in any way, much less a cold case.
For Haleigh Cummings.
She went to bed the night of February 9th and was reported missing hours later by her father's girlfriend. Well, this evening, Jennifer Waugh begins a series of special reports focusing on this kindergartner, her family, and the theories about what happened to her.
Well, I just woke up and our back door was all open and I can't find our daughter.
Can't find what?
Our daughter.
I just got home from work. My 5-year-old daughter is gone. I need somebody to be here now. If I find whoever has my daughter before y'all do, I'm killing them.
An all-out search continues right now for this missing 5-year-old Putnam County girl. Investigators say Haleigh Cummings of Satsuma was last seen when her father's girlfriend put her to bed at about 10 o'clock last night.
February 10th, 2009, a little girl vanishes from her bed in a small rural county in northeast Florida. She was sleeping right next to her little brother. Hundreds searched for her.
Our investigation revealed that this child was last seen last night at her residence at approximately 10 p.m. and the rear door of the residence was found to be open.
I just want my child back. All I want is my child.
Right now our leads are very minimal. We're asking for the public's help. If you've seen anything, you've heard anything, you've seen this little girl somewhere, please give us a call.
Did Haleigh wander off? Was she taken?
We're offering polygraphs to everybody to give them the opportunity to eliminate themselves as suspects.
Detectives say they have found several good leads, but couldn't share specifically any of that information.
Somebody knows. I mean, you know somebody knows. She didn't disappear into thin air. Somebody knows something. And how do you get somebody to be so evil as to not tell you where a child is?
Ten years later, 5-year-old Haleigh Cummings is still missing. I'm Jennifer Waugh. Starting Monday, I'll have a series of stories that take you back to a young life missed.
Her smile was infectious. When she smiled, her whole face lit up.
She didn't hurt no one. She was amazing. She loved everyone.
She was Daddy's girl, and no way around it. Everywhere Daddy went, Haleigh went.
The small town still clinging to hope.
You have her name out on your sign.
Yes.
What's the story
Yes.
behind that?
We want to remind the community we've got a missing child. Until she's found, it will not come down.
What happened to Haleigh?
He's heard stories, awful stories. That Haleigh died at a drug party, that Haleigh was thrown in the river for the gators, that, just horrible things that you don't want to hear about your child, you know?
For the first time, we are getting specific details from investigators who worked the missing persons case from day one.
I sit here today telling you Haleigh was not abducted by a stranger.
Investigators believe someone is not telling the truth.
And that boat ramp was searched after somewhat of a confession by as having some firsthand knowledge of the disappearance.
They investigated many leads.
I'm gonna pause it there, and if you're any good at reading lips and you want to deep dive into this video, go back and watch. I'm not gonna give it away, but go back and watch and read his lips. You'll understand why I say that later on.
That went nowhere.
But a lot of surveillance on just to maybe hope that he would do something out of the ordinary.
And the family that awaits answers.
Nobody has any kind of proof whatsoever to show us that she's deceased. Therefore, we're waiting on Haleigh to come home.
Does it look like it gets any easier? No.
We have learned that investigators were zeroing in on the last person to see the Putnam County girl. It's Misty Crosland. The 17-year-old was dating the little girl's father, Ronald, and was babysitting Haleigh when she says the kindergartner vanished from bed in the middle of the night on February 10th.
Okay, guys, so buckle up, Buttercup, Misty. Misty. Get ready for this part of the story.
Now, Crosland has never been charged with any wrongdoing and insists that she told investigators everything she knows about what happened that night. The little girl's great-grandmother and grandmother think investigators were so focused on her that they missed something.
They got tunnel vision. Once they focused on Misty, they forgot about everything else.
It was Misty. It was just Misty.
Was there anyone else that you thought could have possibly had something to do with her disappearance?
Absolutely. There was a man in a trailer that lived in the woods right behind Ronald's house.
We asked investigators about that. Did their focus on Misty Crosland?
I'm not going to put out any names, but if you guys are following a very high-profile case that's going around YouTube, you should do a little bit of investigation, because like I said, I'm not going to dox anybody on YouTube of who the guy was that was living behind their house.
Distract them from other possible suspects?
Yeah, we could have been focused on Misty, but there were so many other people involved, so many parts of the puzzle that were, picked up by other agencies, just like the sex offenders checked.
Robert Hardwick was an investigator with the state attorney's office assigned to Haleigh Cummings' case in February 2009. He worked it with his boss, retired Judge Robert Mathis. John Merchant was the lead detective for the Putnam County Sheriff's Office.
Anywhere a lead would take us, we went.
All three are confident every tip was investigated. Merchant says anyone who lived near Haleigh was interviewed. The man Haleigh's grandmother suspected had an alibi and was not considered a suspect. Now, they're sharing details about people investigators looked into.
If you look at the map of Putnam County at that time, and the number of registered sex offenders within a 1-mile radius, there were a tremendous number of them. And
I remember us tracking down a sex offender to Nebraska, and we went to Nebraska and interviewed him in the middle of the night.
Did that turn into anything?
Nothing.
There were 44 registered sex offenders living near Haleigh Cummings when she disappeared.
Okay, 44. Pay attention, guys. This is super important to, again, a high-profile case in Tennessee.
Investigators say each was accounted for the night she vanished. But soon, someone else was added to the list of people the detectives looked at. Joe Overstreet, Misty Crosland's cousin.
I can tell you he left the state of Florida the same day as she went missing.
That seemed very suspicious for a relative of the last person to see Haleigh alive to suddenly decide to leave Putnam County to return home to Tennessee within hours of the little girl's disappearance.
But a lot of surveillance on Joey just to maybe hope that he would do something out of the ordinary.
And did that work?
We had nothing that came to fruition up in Tennessee.
Nothing. Their search for answers led them down another dead end. Joe Overstreet denied any involvement in Haleigh's disappearance and was never charged. By now, other information, though, was starting to filter in, circling back to the same person.
I mean, everything points.
Circling back to the same person. Pay attention, guys.
And Misty.
Tonight on News for Jack, starting at 5.
She knows where the little girl is. I do believe that.
What did the last person to see 5-year-old Haleigh Cummings reveal to investigators months later? And what did this detective learn that led him to this conclusion about the kindergartner?
I don't feel that she's alive.
Our special report, Haleigh Cummings into thin air.
I think about it every day.
John Merchant still thinks about the Haleigh Cummings case from 10 years ago. He was the lead detective with the Putnam County Sheriff's Office. He no longer works there.
Us investigators who worked on the case, we all feel like we know what may have happened, but we can't prove it.
5-year-old Haleigh Cummings was at home in Satsuma one Friday night in 2009 with her little brother and her father's teenage girlfriend, Misty Crosland. When her father came home from work, Haleigh was gone.
I want my daughter back. That's it. That's all I want. I want my daughter back.
Merchant believes Haleigh's father's alibi of being at work checks out. The next day, search teams scoured the neighborhood and divers and boats were in the nearby St. Johns River because
the bloodhounds led you there.
2 of them.
Misty Crosland, the adult with Haleigh that night, first told police someone came into the house and took the child, but Merchant doubts that.
You know, the child is in the bedroom literally next to her. There's a little boy in the bedroom. She's in the bedroom. You have locked doors. There's no forced entry, and Misty hears nothing. But yet she wants us to believe a stranger came into the house and took this little girl in the middle of the night, and I just don't think that happened.
Merchant said that months later, Misty changed her story and said that she saw her brother and cousin take Haleigh out of the house and to the river. Merchant says the cousin did not talk to investigators, and a secondary search of the river turned up nothing. So Merchant took Misty to the river as a news helicopter caught images of them on a dock. And why did he do that?
The hope was to get her to say something, or to try to reach in and find that soft spot in somebody's heart, and we didn't get it. She said nothing.
Merchant said Misty Crosland eventually recanted her statement about her brother and cousin taking Haleigh.
There's no indication of any violent struggle or any type of violent crime at the scene. That leads me to believe that, it very well could have been an accidental death. And, somebody in this group has covered up the death.
What is it going to take to break this case?
Misty.
Why?
She's the one with the inconsistent statements. If she could give us one truthful statement, I think we would be somewhere.
As for where the child is, Merchant believes she's dead. And without going into detail, says,
I can tell you the river's close. The river's real close to the back of the house.
Although Merchant can't prove it, he believes the river is where the mystery of Haleigh.
And if you guys look into this river, this is a gator-infested river.
Lies.
Misty Crosland, who was watching Haleigh that night, is in prison for an unrelated drug conviction.
And he says he was in Florida when the little girl disappeared. Well, new this morning, the 20-year-old is speaking out about the allegations that he was involved in Haleigh's disappearance.
Disgusted. I don't know. I can't say nothing about it.
I want to say something, but I don't know what to say.
Well, Overstreet's grandmother is the one who called deputies after her other grandson, Tommy Crosland, called her from the St. Johns County Jail on Sunday and told her that Overstreet took Haleigh from her home.
And I said, Tommy, I want you to tell me exactly right now, because I know in my heart exactly what you're fixing to tell me.
This is the layout of the trailer, guys.
Right now, investigators in Lake County are looking for a potential murder suspect. We've been following the latest on a body found.
Okay, so it jumped over a little bit. Let me back up to right here. It says, "Rest in peace, my heart breaks for this family. Missing children." Yes, this will be later in the video and explain the link between several unsolved cases. Okay, this next case that's coming up is going to make sense why there was a rest in peace earlier in the video.
Right now, investigators in Lake County are looking for a potential murder suspect. We've been following the latest on a body found near Groveland since this weekend. That's where deputies found a body inside a burned out SUV. The person who called 911 reported a burning gas can next to that white SUV and said they saw a man running away from the scene. Now we're learning more about the 20-year-old victim. His family spoke to News 6's Brian Didlake today.
Crystal Cummings is calling for answers on who may have killed her son, Jarmonique Luther Jr. Jarmonique, better known as JJ, was found dead inside the back of an SUV this past Saturday. According to the Lake County Sheriff's Office, witnesses say they saw a man running away from the scene. News 6 spoke with Cummings, who said she can't forget the day she heard her son was no longer here.
This isn't true. This can't be true. Not my boy. He wouldn't. He had a heart. His heart was too big.
Cummings says what hurts the most is that Jarmonique was about to be a father and now he won't be able to see his child be born. She says Luther did have his faults but still had a heart of gold. So now Crystal says she will remember the good times she spent with her son.
Car rides, we'd always argue over the music. He wanted to listen to this, but then we'd come together.
Cummings says as she is making plans to lay her son to rest, she does have one message to the person or persons who she says took her son.
You're a coward, and you took my son from me, and I know that you probably got a cold heart, but I know there's someone that you love, and I want you to think about how they would feel, how you would feel if somebody did this to you.
Lake County Sheriff's Office is still investigating this incident. If you have any information, you are encouraged to call them immediately. In Lake County, Brian Didlake, getting results, News 6.
And this is still an open investigation. I wanted to include this case because he was such a positive, loving part of Haleigh's life, an unsolved case, and a lead, could do so much.
Haleigh Cummings, born August 17, 2003, missing since 2009. Biological mother lost custody due to drug use, however did state she visited every weekend. Biological father Ronald Cummings had custody of Ms. Haleigh. Also girlfriend Misty Crosland lived in the home. Details that can be found and confirmed to have been reported to law enforcement. Misty stated the back door was always locked and dead-bolted, and that Haleigh, a 5-year-old girl with physical disability, was afraid of the dark. Her 3-year-old brother, who was allegedly in the first account told by Misty, was sleeping next to Haleigh, told law enforcement that a man in black took Haleigh from their bed. In Misty's first account of the night, she stated she was asleep with both kids and had to go to the bathroom and notices the back door was propped open with a block. In another interview with law enforcement, she says she was getting a drink. 911 call includes this detail. Later, when questioned, her story changed. She was cleaning, allegedly doing laundry, and noticed the back door open and Haleigh missing. The 911 call. In my opinion of this case and what I have looked into, she was being coached what to say. She says has several times, almost as she is listened to the 911 dispatcher and someone coaching her. Inconsistency in her stories. The only person that shows true concern is the father Ronald and grandmother's biological mom did a few interview on her daughter case. However, she is not considered a suspect. Ronald is in a panic during the 911 call. You can hear his voice and another male in the background during the call. He says in the middle of the night. It is faint but it's there. Ronald's mom can be heard toward the end of the call. It was said she lived an hour away and not clear how or why she just happened to be there at the home at 3 a.m. when a 5-year-old vanished into thin air. It was said by family member the following was not Ronald's idea or wanted. However, roughly 1 month after Haleigh vanished from her home in a rural Florida community, Ronald and Misty got married. The marriage did not last long. Misty failed 4 separate polygraph tests and due to her not being truthful in his eyes he filed for divorce. Ronald does state it was due to stress. However, in my opinion of this case, Misty wanted to make sure there would be no possible testify against each other. However, in the state of Florida this law does not apply if a child is involved. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe and share. This story needs to be heard. Haleigh would be 18 or 19 now. Haleigh, if you are watching this, please reach out. Your family misses you and you may be able to help in a high-profile case that a 5-year-old girl is missing in the same way as you. So many details and people involved connect to both cases.
Yeah, guys, so that was, and I'm going to move myself back over here. That was my story on Haleigh Cummings missing from Florida with links to Tennessee. Sorry, I'm trying to get situated. The high-profile case in Tennessee, we're all following it. We all know all the inconsistencies, the lies, everything. I did a deep dive on this case. I've listened to the 911 call with my fancy kids' gamer headphones on. And it's pretty intense what you can hear in the background of the 911 call. I have a few notes here that I wanted to go over. I did read in the narrator. I did use the narrator. This was back when I first started doing videos. Excuse me, and I didn't know how people were going to take my accent, to be honest. So I thought that would be easier listening than listening to me. But since, I've got a little bit more braver on here, if you will, I wanted to share some of the key points. So when I read the story about her cousin, the murder and stuff, the grandmother said, and you guys can, if you want to look into his case, you can read the news reports, and it's heartbreaking. She says that she doesn't expect it to be solved. It's just another unsolved case. Everyone had forgotten Haleigh. So let's get her found. Her voice needs to be heard. And Haleigh is one of the reasons why I chose the name of my channel, that and my Native American heritage. These kids that need a voice, these adults that need a voice, these minorities that need a voice, that's what I'm trying to be here for. In Summer's case, her family has took so much ridicule because of the way they live, and it's the way that my mother raised me was you don't throw rocks when you live in a glass house. So people judging the way she lived was actually the reason why I very first went up on panel the first time. Because I sat in that live and listened until I couldn't stand it no more and went up on panel so I could put in my 2 cents about country living. I'm not going to say that she was unclean, but the way that those people were judged was unclean. This little girl, we don't know much about the inside of the house. I do know it was a mobile home. I do know it was kind of run down. If you, like I said, you look into the pictures, deep dive into the case. I didn't include a lot of the pictures in this. Just because I was filming it with my phone at the time, screen recording, so it was kind of hard to do a quality video and feel like it was a quality video. So just a few more key points I wanted to go over was that the stepmom, her first story matched the 911 call. Noticed the kitchen light was on the way to the bathroom, and then she noticed the back door. In the second story, They all went to bed at 10 p.m. together. In her first story, she said that she was cleaning or doing laundry. She said she was doing dishes or doing laundry, and that was consistent with the 911 call. Well, then, in her second story, she said that her, the little boy, and Haleigh had all went to bed together. She was last seen in her pajamas. She had brown hair. At the time, she was between 40 and 60 pounds. They weren't sure. Biological mother was called at 3:45 a.m. and the mom said someone took her. The 911 call was made at 3 a.m. If you listen to the 911 call, you can hear a man's voice go in the middle of the night. That was before the father comes home, because when the father comes home in the 911 call, you can clearly tell that he's home. And he uses some pretty choice language. And he uses some pretty choice language against stepmom when he comes in and asks her what the hell she did with his daughter. You can plainly hear him. You can hear the 911 officer telling him to calm down, that she wants to send somebody out, but he has to calm down and he can't be threatening to kill people while she's sending police officers out there. And like I said, I'm not going to read exactly what he said, but it was, how the F do you let my daughter go be? Where is my effing phone? Okay, so something else that was kind of weird was Ronald Cummings' mom turns up during the 911 call. Now, let's check my notes, but I think she lived 30 minutes away. Okay, don't quote me on. Okay, so Misty's story kept changing, and Ronald did end up divorcing her because he couldn't take the stress of her lies and not knowing if she actually did something to his daughter. She pretty much forced him, if you listen to like some of the interviews with the family member, she pretty much forced him into marrying her, thinking that if they were married and she got convicted of Haleigh, something happening to Haleigh, allegedly if something did happen to Haleigh, that she wouldn't be charged. But in the state of Florida, it doesn't matter if you're married, if a child is involved. You still have to testify against each other. Okay, Misty failed 4 polygraph tests and voice stress tests. Okay, I myself haven't heard anything about a voice stress test done in Summer's case. I don't know if you guys can comment below and let me know if there's a vid I can go back and check out and hear if they did one of those. Something I found was odd was that Misty does use the term gone in the 911 call. Okay. Something else that's kind of weird is Casey Anthony's family tried to help the Cummings, and they refused help. The news report I did on Germanic was 3/31/21, so that was recent. That just happened. And I'm not conspiracy theoristing or nothing, but he was killed and burned in a white SUV and left on a back road in Florida. And it's still an unsolved case. The cousin was there when she came up gone. Joe Overstreet from Tennessee. He's got links to Ben Hill. I'm not going to put any name drops out there, but if you guys do your little bit of research, you can see that there's links there that also lead to links to another missing child from Florida. That if you guys are interested in going through couple videos, you'll figure out which case is linked to Tennessee from Florida. So I'm not going to make this too terribly long, guys. Just wanted to bring Haleigh's case back to light and make sure that the information was put out there that she is still considered missing. Her grandmother does live here in Volusia County, and I would love to be able to give her some good information if any of you guys have any tips or any viable information that might help this case. But as always, thanks for watching, and remember, it takes a village to raise a child. Be a voice. Say something kind. Be nice to people. No bullying. Subscribe, like, and share, guys.